Okay, well, thank you very much for being here. So today I will complement a little bit everything that Laura and Maria Jose talked about in terms of career in science. And I'm going to really zoom in first a little bit. I'll explain my curriculum, and then I will explain what European Research Council or ERC grants are, because I think that's maybe of interest for at least some of you from the audience, because it's all, well, everyone who has a PhD would be eligible to apply for that. You do not have to have a permanent position or anything like that, okay? So I try to resume, I'm not going to say how many years because it's a lot of my research career. So I actually, well, as you can guess, I'm from Belgrade. From here, I finished the Faculty of Technology and Metallurgy, or TMF, in Belgrade. In 2004, I actually, well, I have to say this, so I finished at the top of my generation, and at that time in 2004, there was nothing, absolutely nothing offered to me. So I just left. So I'm the brain drain, but with a very good reason. So it was not even, I mean, it was me having some self-respect. So I moved to Barcelona. So I put here the Serbian phrase. I moved in January 2005. We have this phrase, trbuhom za kruhom. So for the foreigners here, it's basically when you go like searching for bread, kind of. So what I tried to say is I didn't move for money, obviously, because the research indeed is not well paid in Spain. So I just wanted to live in Barcelona. So it was all very, although I was focused I was determined to make a career, but I was doing a PhD in environmental chemistry. I mean, where I studied, environment was still just like a bit of an esoteric kind of term, let's say. So I got a fellowship. So the yellow stars are for the fellowships I got. And so I got a fellowship. I finished my PhD in 2009. That was Spanish National Research Council. And that, again, by plain serendipity and, well, a chance encounter with Maria Jose, actually, I moved to Australia. So I also had always a little bit of this wanderlust, no, what they say. So I wanted to see the world, let's say. And I spent there, in the end, I moved for 2 years. I spent there 5 years until 2014. I also got another fellowship there. And then basically, I decided to move back to Girona for many different reasons. The most important one is I wanted to go back to Europe, let's say. And I got a Marie Curie fellowship. So that's typically a 2-year contract. So again, everything so far are these different contracts, 2-3 years fellowships and so on. So you have absolutely no guarantee if you do stay in research that you will ever get a permanent position. So there in Girona, I got this 1, 2, 3, 4th yellow star is for this Ramon y Cajal fellowship that Maria Jose mentioned. This is still not permanent, but at least gives you 5 years. Contract. And essentially what really changed my career radically was when I got this European Research Council starting grant. This is this project Electron for Water. So that actually I got that in 2016. It started in 2017. And after that, the red star is for the permanent position of ICREA. ICREA is something really amazing that the Catalan government has. So it's basically a competitive call for they call us ICREA research professors, but we're not really professors because we don't do teaching. So they just call us that. And it's equivalent to a full professor. It's even better in terms of salary. We do have evaluations, which I think is fair, because I think once you give people permanent positions, many would just relax and do nothing, like if nobody cares what you're doing. So, but still, it's something that at this point, well, I decided, okay, so I'm staying in Spain. And so from then on, I got in 2022, I got Catalan National Research Award for Young Talent because I'm still young. And then I got the ERC Proof of Concept grant. This is a smaller project, I explain later. And very recently, I got a 3rd ERC project. This is a consolidator grant. And I'll explain later what each of these are. So I'm at the Catalan Institute for Water Research since 2014. And yeah, for now, happy, let's say. So here I put numbers, but I don't want to scare anyone, okay? So these are actually, I mean, they're good numbers, but they're not the most amazing numbers you can have in our field. So for example, if we look at the number of publications I have, I know it's going to sound idiotic, but it's only 70. So I actually have many people around me that have many more papers, okay? Published papers and so on, like multiplied by 2, 3, whatever. The thing is, I did always try to publish in the best journals. So you know how journals that you have this first quartile, so the top 25%. I was actually always aiming for the top 5, top 10%, and my students know that. So not just looking at anyone specifically. So anyway, I think the key is really to demonstrate quality, especially with this change to DORA, what Maria Jose was explaining. You know, now it becomes more and more difficult to evaluate scientific curricula based on the number of papers, because publishing really, I mean, you can publish almost anything, really. So it's just, if you don't get into one journal, you're going to send it somewhere else. So I think the goal of all of us, if we really want to do our job well, is to try to go for the top ones and have high quality papers. Anyway, I put this here because there is a big contrast what I had when I won the ERC starting grant. So if you have a look at the number of papers, well, actually it didn't go up that much. I had half already when I got the ERC starting grant. And this is because, well, I tried to be more careful, and it's more difficult also to publish when you do something new, which is what this ERC grant was about. I have the accent I would put on the project. So when I got the ERC starting grant, this is a 1.5 million euro project, only to a single PI, so only to me, basically. I only had in my curriculum, let's say, 2 small projects as a principal investigator from Australia, which were nothing. It was just like 30, 40,000 Australian dollars. And if you have a look, what I have obtained so far is close to 5 million euros in funds. So this ERC starting grant was really something that, let's say, catapulted my career and gave me a lot of visibility. I have the same graph, okay, just different babies. So the 2 batch, I have 3 batches. So well, the 2 kids that I had, and then very important one was after I started with this ERC starting grant. So these projects are high risk, high gain. So in our field of water research, which is a very conservative field, it's, first of all, it's very difficult to find something that is high risk, high gain. So I had to work a lot to get to this idea. And then, I mean, things don't work out. We have, I don't know how many negative days, a lot. Well, Nick certainly has a lot, but 2, 3 years, we didn't publish anything. So there I had to make a decision if I wanted to just go for the low-hanging fruit and use the money to just, well, publish, not badly, but, you know, just something. Or I wanted to really try to make it work. So I chose the second option. Luckily, it worked, but it could have not worked easily. I mean, it was in the end really a serendipity that we did get what I'll explain later. So the ERC grants. So I don't know, does anyone know what the European Research Council grants are from people who have PhD, let's say? No? No? Yes? I continue? Okay. Okay. So what you should be looking at in the first place then is the top row. So there are the starting grants. This is, you're eligible if you are between 2 and 7 years after your PhD. And this is up to 1.5 million euros. So only for you. It's not consortium. It's not a coordinated European project. The consolidator grants are between 7 and 12 years after PhD, and advanced, this is like for really senior people with more experience. And it's more money, also 2.5 million euros. Then the proof of concept grants, which is one of these smaller projects that I got, you can apply for this one. It's only 150,000 euros, but these very, very important projects, because if you have something that can serve in real life, basically that can be sold, let's say, and have some purpose, you can apply for that one. And this is what we're running at the moment, for example. And it's to bridge this gap between research and early marketing, let's say, of your product. Synergy grants, that's maybe interesting for more senior people. So it's between 2 and 4 PIs, and it's basically each one can get 2.5, well, in total 2 million euros. And there you really can join, for example, with you can join with experts that, for example, if you have a project on, I don't know, activated sludge, you could join with some expert in metagenomics, or, I don't know, a biochemist. So you can really make an interdisciplinary project. I'm glad it's not me, though, falling. So you can ask for additional funding anyway if you want some like major equipment purchase and so on. But anyway, it's already a lot of money. To be honest, I never asked for this additional, I don't know, I'll spend it. I mean, it's a lot of money already. So the sole criterion for ERC grants is scientific excellence, okay? So I want to emphasize this because many times when you're doing research in a country like Serbia, you may have this complex of inferiority because you don't have the same facilities, you don't have, and obviously you don't, but they always evaluate your curriculum, first of all, in the context of your environment. So they cannot judge you as someone who did their PhD in Germany. And second of all, really the emphasis is a lot on the project. So if you have a really great project, chances are you will be funded. So I think in Serbia so far, if I'm not mistaken, there are 2 ERC grants, like archaeology and physics. I don't know if there are more. I knew about 2. So it's possible. It's possible. It's definitely possible. The approach is bottom up, meaning they fund any topic. So when I did some kind of preparation courses, I had with me a girl who was writing, well, her project was about predicting weather in Mars. So it can really be, right? So it can really be anything. The peer review is international, of course. And so what is really amazing for me about these projects is that if you dare to be the leader and to work independently, this is the project for you. So this is what you should apply for. So it gives you absolute financial autonomy. It gives you also opportunity to negotiate, for example, your salary, your working conditions, the conditions for your group. These grants are portable, meaning normally Horizon projects that are coordinated, they are awarded to research institutions. So if you leave, the project stays. This one, I can take it with me anywhere. I can move back to Serbia, for example. So it's basically allowing you to work on your idea that normally probably would be very difficult to fund, because if it's something high risk, high gain, there are really not that many calls that could fit something like that. It's not that easy to get funding for something risky. And it also gives you, of course, recognition and international visibility. So it's really like a quality label. It's kind of a stamp that you have in your CV for your research, for your group, and your collaboration network. Although it's an individual project that only you get, it just expands. So you get invited to keynotes, you get invited to other projects. So yeah. This is just a, very general panel structure. Each one of these panels has sub-panels. So for example, where I applied and where anyone I think in this room would be, or at least most of the people were looking at, is this panel PE8, Products and Process Engineering, but this is then again super wide. Again, so here, here I listed basically again how starting grants, how the eligibility, how for ERC grants eligibility requirements look like, and also how the curriculum is evaluated, because again, it's not impossible to get it wherever you are, okay? So whether you're in Spain, in Serbia, in Germany. So they really, in terms of your CV, they, this is from the site. They say they evaluate intellectual capacity. Whatever that means, creativity, commitment, so on. So they're going to really look at your CV as an integral thing. They're not going to look at your H index, I'm pretty sure. So you really need to kind of demonstrate through your text, what you write, that you are original, that you really want to do it, that you're highly motivated, that you can lead people working on that. Because that's also a challenge on its own. It's especially if things don't work out. So even for something like for example, for these synergy grants, if you have a look at the requirements, what they ask from the PIs, they say either early achievement track record or a 10-year track record. So you could even apply for something like that, I don't know, 2-3 years out of your PhD. Maybe you met 2-3 amazing experts from different fields, and you have this idea, and it's very easy to convince people to apply for funding if you do most of the work, especially. So I think it can be pretty exciting. There are extensions to this time windows that I gave you, like between 2 and 7 years and 7 and 12 years. And so what I used, for example, for this last application for Consolidator is this maternity extension. So you get 18 months per child. So I had actually 1 or 2 more opportunities to apply, but then I got it, and I didn't have to have any more kids to get another one. So it's okay. And essentially just sums up. Right. So if you have what I wrote here, if you have 7 babies, you get 10 years, but I wouldn't recommend 7 babies. So yeah, there's some other extensions, obviously, but in each case, it's something that you can check with your project office. Priority really, so this is the graph from the website of ERC. So priority is given really to young scientists. By young, I mean, yeah, younger than 40. So if you have a look at how these are distributed, it's really, really likely if you are between 33 and 39 that you get it. So anyone in the room in this age group, I think you should try. So the myths, I already talked a little bit about that. So if you are, for example, a recently graduated student, maybe you're 1 or 2 years out of your PhD, you don't have to wait like to have 6 years post PhD to apply for starting. Actually, you shouldn't. So they're always going to, again, evaluate you based, so relative to your career stage. Again, there is definitely this belief that how do they call us, widening countries? I don't know, Serbia, yes, okay. That people from widening countries, that they have less chances. It's not. I mean, I even had, well, I think when I met you, Georgia, I had a talk in Belgrade because I was invited by then President of European Research Council to come with him to Serbia only to try to convince people to apply for ERC. Because the problem is it's very absurd. I mean, you have to apply. You absolutely have to apply. So Serbia is paying a lot of money to be able to participate in programs like that, and is not getting anything back. So we are funding science in Spain or in Germany or in Belgium or wherever. So, I mean, people just don't apply. And I mean, I think big part of that is really this prejudice, kind of, oh, well, for sure, I can't get it, and just lack of information. So if anyone wants to apply, you can write to me and I'll convince you, like, if you're thinking about it. How ERC grants work. So you submit basically 2 documents, well, B1 and B2, whatever. So the first evaluation stage, they only the panel reviews it, and actually not even the entire panel. So panel tends to be around 18 to 20 people. But for example, in my panel, maybe I had each time I applied, maybe I had 1 or 2 persons who would remotely understand my projects because they kind of work in the field of wastewater treatment. You can have there an expert in informatics, an expert in, I don't know, in material. I mean, anyone really. It's all products and process engineering. So they normally try to distribute this like in terms of the closest expertise, and basically 2 to 3 panel members review this first document, which is B1. This is 5 pages of your resume project and your track record and CV, which is 4 pages. But so you should check more information. This is not classical CV. You really need to write it in this kind of, let's say, integral, a little bit different way. It's not the numbers, and it's a little bit different. And so the second document, full proposal of your scientific project, which is 15 pages, this is then evaluated together with the first one. If you pass the first stage, it's evaluated in the second stage, where they invite 8 to 12 external evaluators. So these external international experts are someone who really have the expertise, theoretically at least, about your project. And both extended synopsis, both the 5 pages and the full proposal, they have to contain absolutely the same elements. So this is a big art in resuming and not repeating in B1 what you have in B2. That's very important, because if you repeat it, I mean, they're kind of bored, right? So you need to explain the background. So what really, but this is like for any projects, what I wrote here. So what are the knowledge gaps? What are the challenges that you want to resolve with your project? What are the objectives, and what is the impact? So why would anyone fund your project and give you 1.5 or 2 or whatever, 2.5 million euros? And also research methodology. And there you really need to even have things like project structure, like who will you hire, how you're going to divide the sub-projects, how they are related. I mean, it's a lot of information crammed in 5 pages. And very important, the contingency plan. And this is something that actually, well, I evaluate a lot of proposals for Horizon, all kinds of schemes. Many of them, they fail because they don't have contingency plans. So if you don't evaluate your risks, or you were very naive with your risks and you did not propose some convincing mitigation measures, I mean, it's not a good project. So the first stage of the ERC grant evaluation, 90% of the projects are gone. Okay, so these 5 pages, you really need to make them be excited about your project. So they need to not only think that this is really, really, really good, let's say excellent, outstanding project, but they need to really think that they need to fund it now. It's something that needs to be urgently funded. It's a very hot topic and super important to do. So the interview, if you go to the second stage, so your B2 is reviewed again, but you also have the interview. And at the interview, so the format of this interview, that depends on the panel you're in. In my case, the last one I did for the consolidator, it was 6 minutes of presentation, unlimited number of slides, and 19 minutes of question. And this is 1900 and 600. If you actually go a second over, they cut you. So in this case, first time I did the interview, it was presential actually in Brussels for the starting grant. And that's quite an experience, but now no point talking about that because now it's all online to reduce CO2 footprint. It's, in my opinion, total, what's the word? Not good. So you are basically talking like this to a screen. You need to be very motivated, look at this tiny little dot and, like be very convincing. You don't see anyone's faces because the camera is like filming them from the top. I mean, there's no feeling absolutely whatsoever. If you answered well or not, it's, yeah. So in both like the presentation and your answers to the questions, you have to be super concise. You cannot just drag along your answers and, and make a philosophy. No, they're bored. They are not going to have time to ask you really important questions. If that happens, you're out. You have to show that you're excited about your project, that you're motivated, that you're an expert. And obviously, you need to maybe even entertain a little bit, but you shouldn't really, overdo it. You need to obviously be confident, but I don't think that it's good to be overconfident, let's say. I think you need to be a little bit smart how you present yourself. And well, yes, you have probably some charisma. How to win an ERC grant, which is my next slide. So like I said before, these are really high risk, high gain projects. You actually have to explain in your proposal what is the part of the high risk and what is the part of the high gain. And I'll show you that for my projects in a minute. So you need to kind of depart from mainstream research and even depart from what you have been doing so far. So if you propose something that is kind of like what you've been doing so far, this is not an ERC grant. This is probably a horizon project. So you need to kind of show them that you want to venture into something different, because with all this money, so this opportunity that you hire someone who has, I don't know, maybe absolutely no idea about water, but knows about graphene, which was, for example, my case, my former postdoc, I think that's really amazing. So this ERC club, it's quite an exclusive club. It can easily give you an imposter syndrome, because all kinds of really groundbreaking research that we nowadays know, the discovery of graphene, the discovery of this mRNA vaccines, the basis for COVID vaccine and so on, this was all ERC projects. So idea for an ERC, that's actually, well, this is one of the slides that I had when I was in Belgrade 5 years ago to try to convince people to apply. So it can be really, you need to kind of pay attention to things that you're getting in the lab in your experiments, because it may be that you have an experiment, for example, with some unexpected data. And that's already when normally, from my experience, when you get something weird in the lab, that's normally good, kind of. You maybe want to develop certain ideas, but you don't have the right instrumentation, or maybe you need to develop a new methodology. So this is also something that would be an ERC project. Maybe in the research field that you're working, maybe there is something that everyone is like keeping quiet about, some kind of major limitation, or some problem that nobody's addressing. So this is what you should be looking at, okay? Something that if you could resolve it, it would be, let's say, of huge importance. So this is, well, this is, yeah, I don't know if this is maybe a little bit tough, but if you really think you have no ideas, I think that you haven't tried hard enough, basically. It's about really discussing with your colleagues, especially colleagues from other fields, over coffee. I mean, it does not have to be anything structured. It's just there are different approaches and points of view to everything. You can try things in the lab. For me, what is really helpful is reading scientific literature. And I love the old papers, especially because there is so much bad quality papers in, let's say, last 10 years that I actually prefer to read the ones that were like printed and not online. So it's really about almost like a data mining kind of thing. I mean, maybe in future we have, well, here I put a screenshot of a paper that talks about data mining and literature review using artificial intelligence. You actually have softwares like Iris, and you even have softwares that will help you do that, okay? But I believe in doing it the old school way, let's say. And ideas really it's kind of like fashion, right? So some things that were new 20, 30 years ago, I mean, you would be surprised how many things are being kind of reinvented. I mean, it's not that everything you now hear, it's like new, is really new. Just someone decided to recycle, basically. So I will then very briefly explain. Okay, I have 5 minutes. So I will very briefly explain my 3-year grant. So the first one, the starting grant, it took a year longer because of COVID. So we got an extension, and it was about development of, let's say, graphene-enabled electrochemical systems. The title is more complicated, but doesn't matter, for water treatment. And so here, the idea was to really, this first sentence is kind of the need for this project, because chemical water pollution, especially by really all kinds of organic contaminants, but what we work a lot now is what Nick was talking about before, PFAS, perfluoroalkyl substances. That's really a problem. I mean, that's kind of the cancer of the 21st century. And this is, so you first kind of need to sell the need. Why would anyone need a new technology for treating water? And PFAS is a really good example, because with the existing technologies, we cannot really deal with these contaminants. So here, what I thought would be fun to do was to work with really graphene-based materials, because all the research that I saw in, well, this is valid for 2015, all the research on graphene-based materials was in other fields, in supercaps, in sensors, and so on. There was nothing real, close to nothing in water treatment. I have to say here, it's really important that you know this. I knew nothing about graphene, absolutely. So I wrote a project about that based on literature. The high risk and high gain is what you can see here. So this is what I used as an argument. So what I wanted to look into was really the properties of this electrochemically polarized graphene were something unknown. And this is completely true. And actually, this is precisely what enabled us to now have a patent and go for the spin-off and so on. So people really never use graphene-based materials under the conditions that we are using them in water treatment, like when we really want to degrade pollutants. Everything is different. I mean, a supercapacitor is not the same as an electrochemical water treatment system, obviously. And the high gain was really that we aim to exceed the limits of current treatment technologies, because one of the main advantages of electrochemical systems is they are really excellent technologies for decentralized and distributed water treatment. So this is something that let's say this whole Water 4.0 revolution is going towards, and not many technologies can do that. The main achievement, so this is just one slide, is precisely this development of a graphene sponge electrode. And so there now I listed several advantages. Let's say to summarize, it overcomes the limitations of existing electrode materials on one side in terms of how we produce it. It allows us to easily tailor graphene to remove, if we want to remove a PFAS, if we want to remove a gram-positive bacteria, gram-negative bacteria, so you can really tailor the surface to enhance certain performance of this material. It's really low cost. So, and actually one of the main premises that we had initially was not to buy any kind of fancy equipment for synthesis of the materials, but to really try to do it in a way that it can be reproduced and really serve like in real life, because, well, water treatment unit cannot cost, I don't know, too much, let's say. And the key advantage was this absence of formation of toxic byproducts, which is what opened up kind of with this material. We open up new applications for these treatment systems, because we can really deal with complex PFAS laden streams that have high presence of salts. So brackish streams like leachate and so on, and we can treat these streams now. So this is an international patent. And this is live. So the team. So this is the dream team. I put separately Luis because this is Luis Baptista Pires. So he is the postdoc that came in second year of the project and completely changed everything. So he is someone who worked with graphene, but with sensors. He really knew nothing about water treatment. He was driving crazy initially. But he had really, well, crazy, yeah, good ideas. So sometimes crazy ideas, they really work. So yeah, the last photo is the most updated one, but there's Irina in the first. Yeah, she's not part of the team. She's just there. What we did then, that allowed us to apply for proof of concept grants. So basically, very briefly, this is allowing us to upscale this technology and to build our first prototype. So this is going to be super important for the spin-off that we are creating because we need to be able to demonstrate that the technology is working in an autonomous way and longer term. And the last one is the consolidator grant. So this is this 7 to 12 years post-PhD grant, let's say, the second one. This one is focused on also on electrochemical systems, but I'm doing something very different. So we are trying to selectively extract and recover lithium and in general critical raw materials. Why we want to do that? Well, you all know for sure the Rio Tinto story. So basically, the way we do things many times in the world just doesn't make any sense. So it's easier for the industry to extract lithium from what is yadarit or no, yeah, to contaminate all our water supply and have I don't know cubic meters, well, whatever of sulfuric acid draining out somewhere, I don't know. Then to just really, if we could really just focus on recovering lithium and other metals that we need from waste streams in an energy efficient way, which, okay, we now don't have, but we're also not working much on that. So that would make much more sense than just destroying the nature, right? So this was my main argument. So when you look at the billions of tons of minerals and metals that we need for this green energy transition, you wonder where these electric cars are going to come from. So one of the strategies that would enable that would be to be able to recover them from industrial wastewater. And that's my last slide. That again, I wanted to emphasize the impact of the ERC starting grant on my career. So I could do independent research. This is very important. I mean, I don't know, depends on your personality. I did not want to have someone giving me orders and telling me do this, do that. No. So for me, ERC starting grant was the best possible thing I could get. I could hire a team of good people and interdisciplinary kind of create an interdisciplinary team a little bit. And I obtained this, well, permanent. So kind of a permanent position, which allowed me to continue with my Mediterranean lifestyle, let's say, and stay in Spain. And that's it. Yeah. Well, I like this slide a lot because I was really stressed out at the beginning when things are not working out. So at this stage, you think you're doing everything wrong because, you know, you can have 1.5 million euros and you still get nothing out of it. So yeah, it's really important, I think, to really write a realistic kind of project, what you think would work and try to do it. And that's it. Question? No?
Wow.
I have a wow, yay. Okay. Well, if there are no questions. I mean, I really think that, you know, it's maybe you have some recently graduated PhD students and you see some potential. I mean, I would really try to convince them a little bit to try because sometimes people, they just don't believe in themselves that they can do it. I mean,
I think that there is one problem thinking about just a second, is environment. Thank you. Because of problem with breathing, our professors try to keep young researcher in their lab. But I think that advantage and opportunities to young people to go somewhere, and then some of them will come back later with skills and knowledge and project and connection. And some of them will stay outside, and we again can connect with them. I have excellent example. Our master student, she go outside, got PhD, stay out, but we keep connection, and we got some project, and we together, our group have excellent cooperation with her. And I think that we have to support young people, even that we lost at that moment researchers who got PhD, who are now ready to be part of our team. But if we look further, we will get much more if he or she come back later, or if we cooperate on distance.
I mean, leaving is not bad. That international mobility, in my opinion, is important. I mean, it's a good thing. The problem is that in Serbia, most people leave and then don't come back. But I mean, it's still, yeah, but I mean, it's still, I actually know quite a number of people now that did come back. Not from Spain, but yes, from Germany and other countries. Okay, so like Northern Europe, I don't know, maybe they do tend to come back more. And I think that for Serbia, it's still a plus. You know, if you do what you're just saying and you continue having this connection, and you know, it's like you meet people, they introduce you to other people, and you see other ways of doing things. And I mean, it's really, I mean, there's some really good science in Serbia. When I send out papers for reviews as an editor, I'm an editor in one of the journals. Serbian reviewers, by far, they're like the toughest of all. So, I mean, there is really good criteria here. It's just that I think especially this is critical for these kind of starting grant applicants, you know, the ones that should be applying and have the highest chances of applying while being here. They need to realize that they can actually do that. I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
Sometimes when we open some position, whether we elect on that position some researcher who is with us every day, then we really open that position for someone outside, because we look on short distance, just at this moment, who is more useful, but not very. This type of career, you show us it's most quality better for everyone.
Thank you.